As the thing on the screen, though, we're going to be talking about is the College Football Playoff, the first ever 12-team playoff, and we see how it all is going to line up for the final game there in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the national championship. But there's going to be a long road, so let's start that road here in Columbus with Tennessee versus Ohio State. Last week's show, we went through our predicted bracket. This time around, we're going to, I guess, talk about more of these four games that are actually happening this upcoming weekend. For the Tennessee Ohio State game, though, that we talked about, um, it's going to be coming down to the quarterbacks. I know Tennessee has also lost, I believe, a running back before this game's even happened. So not having that element is going to suck. I think Nico Maliava is going to have a stupendous game. Um, but statistically, against the more challenging teams in the SEC, he's not had the best performances. If you want to call Oklahoma a good team in the SEC, he did pretty well there, I would say. But other than that, there wasn't kind of a big game where he was like, wow, he's really arrived. It seems more like he's kind of just really still settling down there in Knoxville, which is not a good sign, as this is going to be a road game for the Volunteers up in, again, Columbus, Ohio. So it's going to be a little bit of the weather element added to this. And I think that's going to possibly play a big factor in some of these plays from Tennessee. We might see some unfortunate, bobbling, fumbling, bad exchanges between quarterback, running back, etc. Whatever example we might see versus the other side, which is going to be the Will Howard show and how he steadies the ship to a obvious victory for the Buckeyes. I think here again hosting an SEC school who's actually on social media really going after any tickets. The amount of volunteer fans that are trying to commute to this game, I guess, try to even out the Columbus crowd, which is going to obviously favor the Buckeyes. Um, it's just been kind of an interesting kind of back and forth between these two again on social media. I would say Tennessee is kind of winning in terms of the gotchas, the good jokes, the memes versus the OSU fans. Um, but it's going to most likely be a Buckeye night. The amount of weapons that Ohio State has, I know they're battling some offensive line issues, which should be getting a little bit better. They have had now the Big Ten championship game weekend off, and then this past weekend off. So that's 2 weeks of allowing your team to get back together. It really just should shut down all of the SEC Big Ten talk of trying to get more other teams to bye weeks. It's like you guys are already getting bye weeks by not playing in your conference championship game, and then you're not playing again the next week, which is the Army Navy weekend as well. So you're getting 2 buffer weeks anyways. So maybe you don't really deserve that extra bye in the conference. It just not making a lot of sense when you think about it as a fatigue, physical kind of aspect of the game, where teams are playing those conference championship games. That's an extra game on the slate versus some of the ones that just, again, these two teams, they stayed home for the conference championship game. Who's going home for this one? We think Tennessee is, unfortunately. Ohio State, I think defense is going to be most likely the difference maker in creating turnovers. I don't know, again, what element the Volunteers are going to have in the running game. That's going to be able to make some penetration, make some things move for Nico, and the play action as well. That's going to have to be a big element. Um, but yeah, even in the red zone, I think Ohio State's going to have a decent time. Tennessee does have some targets there if they are to get into the red zone and deep into Buckeye territory, where they might have an easier time with something like that versus moving across the field. I think that's where we're going to see a lot of for the Volunteers, them struggling to get past the 50 against this Ohio State defense. But the first couple of series is going to be both teams figuring each other out. One might seem a little bit weaker than the other, but as the game progresses, we'll definitely see most likely Ohio State come out on top. This game should be finished off by the end of the third as well. Is that what I'm expecting? So yeah, Buckeyes by I think multiple possessions there in Columbus against Tennessee.